Hello. Welcome to Love and Relationships with myself, Tiphany, our Butler, and friends. We are here on WYCA Rejoice 102.3, home of Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell and our boy Griff and TJ. How are you, Miss Tracy McMillan?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I am so glad. Welcome to Chicago. Listen, I want to let everybody know. Okay, first of all, Tracy is a relationship expert and coach, author, the host of Oprah Winfrey Network's relationship show, Family or Fiancé, which airs on Saturdays, is dominating Saturday nights. So Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Central, our time, Chicago. But also a television writer. You used to be a television writer too. I remember Mad Men. I was so hooked on Mad Men. And definitely Good Girls Revolt and Marvel's Runaway, that my daughter's stuck on that. You have just been, and I love United States of Terror, because that was a producer, the executive producer for that was Steven Spielberg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you have been doing your thing in the industry. So welcome to the show. Thank
you for having me.
Listen, I want everybody to understand, Family or Fiancé, it is really a good dynamic. I want you to tell them exactly what this show is about. These are engaged couples with disapproving families per se, or some difference. Right. So let us know how this works.
So the couples want to get married. Members of their family are against it. Each person in the couple invites 3 members of their family. Everyone moves into a house for 3 days. And at the end, there's a blessing ceremony. My job is to coach the couple into getting the blessings. But what happens more often than not is I'm here to coach them into whatever's in the highest good of this relationship. Right. And so sometimes that means breaking up.
That's true. What happens when they don't get that blessing from the family? How is that dynamic?
Well, it depends on how willful the couple is. Now, sometimes the couples, they are just sort of hell-bent, for lack of a better word, on getting married, and they don't care what came to light or what happened in what their families think. They're just going to go ahead with that wedding. Other couples, and of course, that's not, I wouldn't advise that. I would say, slow down, because many times if the families are against it, there's a reason. Sometimes the families are against it for their own reasons. The most common would be, mom is number 1 in her son's life, and she does not want to become number 2, even if he gets married. So, and oftentimes it'll be like, intellectually, she knows that it's okay for him to put his wife first, but emotionally, there's such a big loss there that she, struggles with it, and their conflict happens.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Sometimes you have the mama boys or, the daddy girls, and it is hard for them to let go. So you do feel like sometimes the family can be the reason, the toxic nature of the relationship.
There's no question. Yeah. Sometimes the couples are pretty healthy, and the family has some toxic dynamic going on because they don't want to let go, or they're dependent. Right. There can be financial dependencies, emotional dependencies. There's all different ways that the families don't want anything to change.
Yeah.
That's like the bottom line is families don't want the change, and a marriage means change. It necessarily means you're going to go live somewhere else. You're going to have a different priority. And sometimes families are not down with that for various reasons, you know?
Right. It is probably why the word says, leave your mother and your father and cleave to your wife.
Right. Which is very clear from the research standpoint that if the couple is not number one, if your partner is not number one, and that could be anything, that means that the couple has to be number one with work, activities, hobbies, children. The partner needs to be number one. And if they're not, you're in for a rocky road.
Yes, definitely. I think I heard you mention before that when you go into a relationship, you should go in there as you wanting to serve as opposed to take.
For sure. Absolutely. I think that my big message is that love and loving, it's a verb. Okay, sure, it's a feeling, but then not always. Sometimes the feeling goes away for a minute and the action needs to be there. It's behavior. It's a thing you're doing. It's a practice. And when people have a very good practice around their partnerships, whether that's the loving piece, the negotiating piece, how do you deal with conflict? All these things are skills that need to be learned and practiced. So when couples are in that way of being, which is to say there's a relationship here and we need to maintain it and take care of it and serve it, people have happier relationships.
That's true. I've heard a few guys say, well, what is she going to do for me? And, if I take her out X amount of times, when is she going to pay? And when, and I'm thinking, I think that's coming from a hurt place.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's coming from a hurt place. I think, I think it's harder for men to get over being hurt as opposed to women. We kind of seem to bounce back a little bit more, may jump back into love, but men.
Actually, I wonder if that's true. I mean, that may be true. Yeah. Because I think men can compartmentalize. And I see very often where, like in a second marriage, I say this often, men will figure out what went wrong in the first one and make a different choice. Women oftentimes make the same mistake over and over because there's an emotional thing. You talk about a hurt place. I mean, we're all humans. We get wounded and our relationships are critical to our happiness and our feeling good moving through life. Like, I think because we live in this sort of, individualism, our country is very into individualism, but the fact of the matter is we're a highly social species and we do not have good lives without other people. Period. Quality of relationships is the quality of our life.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, man should not be alone. So yes, that's very true. We are supposed to have these relationships, and healthy relationships. And what I'm finding too is sometimes things from our past, from our childhood, we've been talking a lot about mental wellness. And how it's affecting our relationships. We spoke with Joteka Edie, and, she talked about that, and even within Speak Sis, when they talked about how all these childhood things are really affecting our adult relationships. And we're bringing it to our marriages.
Oh, 100%. And that's why the show is so powerful because people, so whatever way you were parented, that becomes the way you partner. So whatever the tone of that relationship was, that affects the way you partner. And so a lot of times you're going to have to resolve something back there in that, mother-child relationship, your own mother-child relationship or primary attachment. Because a lot of times in Black families, like I was in foster care, my dad was in prison, there's ruptures there that need to get healed if we're going to move into our relationships in a different way. And very much this is what we're doing on the show, is working through these generational traumas, identifying what they are, how they're affecting us as we're relating, and then seeing if, once you turn the lights on, you can sort of go, oh, now you have choices. And once you get to the place of choices, you can start to do some really good work in your relationships. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to know what you're choosing.
Yeah, that's basically breaking generational curses. Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's fantastic. I appreciate you sharing this with us and actually helping these couples work through these differences. You know, it matters. It really matters for our future. It matters for our children, you know, so it matters. So thank you very much. We don't want to hold you. So everyone, make sure you tune in to Oprah Winfrey Network's relationship show, Family or Fiancé, where Miss Wonderful Tracy McMillan is the host, and she will bring us some peace on the show. So how can people reach you? How can we follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Tracy McMillan. I'm on Twitter too. I just don't go on there very much.
Okay.
I try to keep social media in a sane place.
In a sane place. Yes. Amen. Okay. Well, thank you, Tracy. I appreciate it. You have many blessings to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think you have not paid attention to your football career because you're like, if I take my eyes off of her, something's going to happen. I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
And it's caused more problems in our relationship because the financial strain has been 100% on me.
And where do you get money?
I have a subscription-based thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
and what do you
website.
do on your subscription-based?
Sexy pictures. Bikini pictures, lingerie pictures. I'm only doing it right now because until I graduate from law school and make my career as a lawyer, all the women in our family are educated. Every woman works, but the man's still supposed to do that too, you know?
Right. But what about this thing about your career and stuff?
Real estate.
Okay.
My fire and drive has always been football. Like I told you,
That's
that
right.
was one track. That's what I looked at and what's what I worked for. So learning how to make money in other ways, it was all new to me.
Right.